Okay, picking up on the last video. I might name that previous one like, well, I don't know what I'll name it. I was gonna say Solidity Part 1 or something, but I don't know, that doesn't seem like something doesn't really seem like a very, I'm not sure that's the most eye-catching. I don't know, well, I'll name it something, but this is maybe like Part 2, I guess. I think maybe like every half hour or 40 minutes, half hour or 40 minutes, I think maybe should be like the limit for the length of a single of these videos. And I know, like, that last one, maybe it doesn't really work for you as much as the first one I made, or something. That is fine. Um, these, I kind of, in a way, I would say, view these videos. These videos are a little bit like musical performances or something like that. That's why is it why? It's part of why the channel's named what it's named, Musical World, or The Musical World. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, it's something like that. So, what was I talking about before? About solidity. Yeah. Oh, oh, everything we're seeing is the human mind. I mean, look, even that's a concept. We could just break that down and go down to, like, stillness again. But don't we want to, like, have something to talk about? Right? So, well, the human mind, you see what I mean when I say there really is no subjectivity here. I mean, objectivity. It depends I suppose you could look at it either way, but what I'm trying to say is that the divide between them is absurd. It seems completely absurd, the divide between these things. There's certain things that, based on various assumptions we've made, we can call something an objective opinion. For the purposes of functioning in society, if somebody says, like, give me your objective opinion on, or it doesn't make any sense. Well, people say that, though. They do say things like that. Try to be objective about this. But, like, you're just going to say what you've been programmed with, aren't you? You were input. Be objective in if this piece of music is good or not. Is it good or not? And it matches the stuff that you thought, what you were told was good. Or maybe the stuff that resonated with you or something, but, like, and you're going to say, oh, it's good, yeah. And if it's not, you'll say, oh, it's bad. I mean, maybe you will, if you don't feel pressured and you're honest. But there's nothing very objective about any of that, is there? But if everything we're seeing is the human mind, like, what are we doing when we, like, cut up stuff? What are we doing when we create AI if we're interacting with our own minds without realizing it? Let me just put it one. Let me just share a model with you, okay? The human brain is like a receiver for the thought of the human mind. And it's only through a kind of feedback process that we even start to really feel that we're individuals at all. Like with a funny, like an ego. And it's only through a kind of feedback process leading to very distorted, iterative thought that leads to free will as we think of it. Versus, I'm just going. And if everybody somehow just went, the distortion would all kind of die down. If everybody did the thing, maybe, I don't know. If the distortion just, if everything calmed down and we went like one thought at a time, like you're aware of a thought, okay, the thought, you wouldn't view like becoming aware of your thoughts as like, okay, time to chase them. Instead it's, oh, okay, thought is now distorting. Thought has now looped back on itself, which it can't actually do. I don't know that it can actually do that. Maybe it can. Let's just say this though. You see what I mean? And this is a red flag. Now thought is clouding out. You're lagging behind what's going on. You're stuck in the past now. And it's like red flag. But the people instead say, they really investigate it. They investigate the distortion. And that makes it so that the receiver, you're separated from the collective or collective isn't even the right term, because I think it's the human mind itself that has decided to fragment itself into separate people, you know? Like our own viewing of us being separate people might be the result of this feedback I'm talking about. So we're carving into the human mind without realizing it when we do things. Meaning, which could be like, look, I'm not saying there are really problems, but human extinction isn't really a problem, is it? It's just humanity getting wiped out. but that's what it is. You could want to say it's a problem? Okay. All right, well, if we want to say it's a problem, let's consider that everything in front of you right now is the human mind. Consider this. Right? I mean, everybody knows this is all interpretation in your head and that kind of thing. I mean, these are the things we say anyway. Light hits your eyes, etc., etc. Sounds hit your ears, that kind of thing, and you form this in your head. And it might have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on. There's no necessity, for an animal's survival's sake, there's no reason to be right. The interpretation doesn't have to be accurate at all. If the animal's surviving, it's going to survive. In fact, what if there's no necessity to survive? You don't need to survive. There's not a fundamental problem, because there's no fundamental problem. Meaning, so the basic, maybe this is the basic thing about what being an animal is this hallucination that there's a need to survive. But that would mean that people who see that there is no need to survive, well, they wouldn't be the ones who, it would be like they wouldn't be the ones who are passing their genes on all likelihood. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that the people who think that survival is a necessity are going to be the ones who natural selection favors, or do you think it's going to be the ones who think it's not? Even if the truth is it's not. Survival is not a necessity. We can see this. Prove it, it's a necessity. Why is it a necessity? But the animals that think it is a necessity are going to be the ones who get it, their genes get it passed on. There's no need to reproduce. Why? But I mean, you see what I mean. So it favors natural selection. Might favor hallucination. Meaning, we really don't know what's going on at all. At all. And if that's true, if this is, so if we're seeing this is the human mind, we're in like some human mind hallucination, that might have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on. Then, what are we doing when we mess with stuff? Like, what are we messing with? What are we chopping up? And like, what is AI? Is that AI, is it the human mind turning itself inside out? Like, are we, in a way, dissecting ourselves, if that makes any sense? We think we think what's in front of us is an objective reality when it's our own minds. And so it's like we're doing surgery on the human mind, in not realizing it. We're like doing blindfolded surgery on the human mind. It's like we're in a dark room, but we think we're in a light room. We're in a dark room, the lights are off, but we think they're on. And we are sawing into walls in that room that we think is the lights on. We think we know what we're sawing into, but it's actually a dark room. And there could be, live wires in those walls. And we have no idea when that live wire is going to be hit, because we have no idea what's going on. And so we have all these ideas about how humans could become extinct, but what does that mean? We don't know what's going on. We have no idea what's going on. What our ideas about why people go extinct, that has nothing to do with what people are going to go extinct. People are going to go extinct because their brains are screwed up, because of this feedback loop, and because we have no idea what's going on, and have made it our mission to identify problem after problem after problem that doesn't exist, and solve it, and who knows what is really going on. So one day, well, what I'm trying to say, one thing I want to point out is, if this collective consciousness stuff is accurate, there's just a human mind. We're all kind of connected in that way. You understand? So like, thousands of years ago, we might have all really felt very different because of like just where it was at that point. Like, we're altering our perception of things without realizing it. We think it felt the same way to be human. I mean, we might say like it felt different for certain reasons, but like I think we don't realize the magnitude of this. Like we don't realize just how different it might have felt to be human a long time ago. And so anyway, if we're just stuck in the mind, the human mind, and we're sawing into it, like I said, like one day we're operating on ourselves. It's like we're in the operating room, we're cutting into our brain, and we don't know when we're in the dark and we're doing it. And does eventually the patient dies on the operating table. Blindfolded surgery doesn't really work out very well. So, is that how it ends for us? And we don't know when it's going to happen. At any moment, somebody saws into that live wire, and that's it. Lights out. We're done. That's it. And nobody was there to see it. Nobody saw it coming because nobody knew what was going on. That's it. And that's, is that the apocalypse? Is that it? That's the end of humanity. And nobody knows about it because nobody sees it coming. Or not, or this is just a bunch of, But that's an interesting idea, right? What happens if we become so dependent on AI, that we use it as like a second brain, like a crutch, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but the bad thing would be if our own brain on its own without using the AI is no longer capable of functioning. Like like it would make sense to, if this ever exists, this kind of technology, to say, okay, it's very important that you get Brain 2.0. Okay, that's like some AI thing or something. Okay, or just it is AI. Maybe it's just as it is now. Brain 2.0, and in order to for the people's sake or something, we say it's very, very important that we kind of, through just mindfulness or something or whatever, drug or something, I don't know. You need to what is the term? Partition. It's like a hard drive that's partitioned. The independent brain needs to be like a separate partition, and the information, it needs to be able to function independently. It can't be too entangled with the Brain 2.0, because what if the power goes out? If the power goes out on a bunch of people who are horribly entangled with Brain 2.0, then they become like not irrational actors. Everything falls apart, and that could be that's another way it could end, with AI, because we could come. Because the thing is, nobody actually wants to encourage people to be like independent and whole. I mean, some people do, obviously, but like local corporations and everything. It's all dependent on you being half, so that you can fill the other half, the empty half, or the half you don't see, the half that you've demonized with products, consumerism, right? Like, it would be nice if they were like, okay, we have this great new technology here, but it's very, very important that you're a whole person before you use it. Because it's very important that you're independently functional, not dependent on this. Because if the power goes out and all of humanity or something is dependent on this, then we that's it. It's anarchy or something. I don't know. But oh. Uh, but of course, like you see, it's like our society is based on you need to be a half person. It needs you to be a half person, you know. Um, I mean, capitalism completely falls apart without half people, doesn't it? If you don't need much, you don't have like the economy that's like fueled by it needs perpetual growth. Ideally, that's gonna follow that's completely unsustainable, you know. Uh, why do we talk about sustainability when there's nothing sustainable about a system that requires perpetual growth? That's inherently not sustainable. I'm not trying to like say like some political thing, you know. Uh, you know, politics is not light. Societies are not light. You know, human civilization is a heavy thing. Unfortunately, it's like you get the impression that there's just this nature is just fine underneath it all. And in fact, that distorted society is part of nature. We can't demonize, it doesn't make sense to demonize part of nature, right? But I'm using nature to describe everything, aren't I? So ultimately, the person who's like some corporate like predator is just the animal trying to get food. That's all it is. I mean, whatever. Okay, uh, I think this would be a good place to stop this video. Uh, and I'll either split this and the last one. I'll either make those two videos or I'll say that or change my mind and just make some long one. Because what is this? It's like 54 minutes. I mean, that's pretty long. I don't know. You don't really need to know the answer. I mean, you'll see what I did. Okay. All right. If you like this content, content is a very gross word, isn't it? It's just something revolting about it. I honestly I want to talk a little more about that now. Isn't that just kind of disgusting? Just hearing like content and like it's good for content, like that's high quality content. It's just so soulless. There's just something so grotesque about it. Content creation. I don't know. There's something gross about it, right? It's kind of like copy. Like copy isn't like writing. It's just like Like I'm making money, so I need some content. Like that's really that's it. Like, and you know, like there's just so many ads everywhere now. You know, like recipe blogs, like the recipe blogs that are like impossible to use because of the number of ads on them. Like they make your computer explode. Not exactly, but like they're like the worst sites on the internet. They're actually the worst sites on the internet. There's no site worse than the recipe vlogs. No, but you know what I mean. Like it's like there's like a million things start playing and everything, and it's just like a mess. And it makes your brain literally hurts from looking at it. Uh, but there are ways to yes. I just went back on it. I guess we're just continuing the video. So. I think this will maybe these videos will get a little less freeform as it goes on, but I want this to kind of happen organically if that's going to happen. All right. So, should we feel super depressed and about what I just said? These ads. You know, everywhere there's ads, right? Everything it seems like is getting greedier and more ad-filled than ever before. Maybe it's also because that's just because it's like I said, we're kind of in this. The heaviness is becoming easier and easier to see, but the lightness is also becoming easier and easier to see, and therefore they're actually neither is becoming easier to see, and it's the same as it's always been. But I encourage you to see lightness, and if you do the thing, remember what that is. Look at the thought and it stops. I might have, yeah, like, look at the thought and it stops. I don't need to keep retreading this. I'm retread it occasionally maybe, but the first video on the channel, the very first video on the channel explains it in detail, I guess. A good bit of detail, right? So, when a child looks at an ad, they don't feel depressed, right? Not really. I mean, they just see colors and stuff, right? They're not actually probably, they're probably not going to like, it's not very effective for them either. Like, it's not going to, I mean, eventually, but like a really young child is just colors and stuff. It's just nice. It's just colors. And red's a nice color. Blue's a nice color. Green is a nice color. Yellow's a nice color. All of the colors, I would say, are nice. And that's all those ads are. You know, do the thing with the ad. Look at the ad through like a child's eyes. Yeah, the other day I was at some gas station around here and it had like these slushy machines that were like you know, like they like churning this slushy stuff. They were like, I don't know, a bunch of flavors, like 8 flavors or something, and they were like. You kind of just see, like, is there something nice about seeing these colors? But this is some gas station, like, sugary, well, you know. It, like, this is the way to, like, tolerate the sort of what feels like corporate predation from a heavy perspective. It's just colors. It's nice. I like the colors. I like. I know this sounds kind of bizarre, maybe, but it does work. At that point, you're impervious to consumerism. You know, there are two ways out of consumerism. I feel like you can either go into a very heavy, dark place about it and be a miserable thing. It's so sad. It's so sad that I live in this corporate capitalist hell, this dystopia. What a nightmare! And like you think you are not going to like buy shit for that? You don't? You think you're not? You know? You think you aren't going to feel that hell? like the corporate capitalist dystopia, it depends on you getting depressed about being in a capitalist dystopia, and then you're gonna spend money somewhere. You're gonna eat a bunch. You're gonna get very overweight because you're depressed about stuff. The alternative way to get out of that. So there's like three places to be. The heavy person who's very depressed and thinks they're anti-consumer, but they aren't anti-consumer because they're going to be filling that hole. The person who just blatantly, the person just, I don't know, they're just a slave to consumerism. They're in the middle. And then there's the person who kind of views the things through a child's eyes, and because of that, they can't. They are impervious to consumerism, you know? Like, do, do, do you want to live in a world where you're so fragile and depressed and use corporate, you use consumerism to fill holes? that that uh, that like it's a travesty that PlayStation is discontinuing physical discs or something. They're discontinuing physical media, right? Why does that really matter that much? This is not me saying like they're not some greedy company, you know. I mean, that's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm saying like it feels bad, right? To feel like you're so powerless and so dependent on what corporations do to feel happy or not. Maybe because you cling to like video games as a childhood thing, and they were physical back then, more basically, and you don't realize that you were happier back then because you had these child's eyes I'm talking about. That's why. And there were adults back then who were like kind of this, how you might be now. And just as disillusioned with things in the whatever it was, as you are now. We don't realize that it's like losing that way of looking at things. The colors, I like the colors. Something as light as that, just I like seeing the colors. Like having a child's eyes, right, is like the real thing that you long for and that you use video games to fill a hole for. Of course, it's just an example. We can come up with other things. So you do the thing, right, and then you get the child's eyes back. I'm not kidding about this. You do. They're right there. Like you what do you mean? Like you're still you, and you get it back. And then maybe you make something or do something more creative, right? That first video I made at night, and then these two I made during the day. And this one and the last one, I guess. And it feels kind of different to make them at night versus the day. Okay, I think that's probably it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like the channel, please subscribe. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye.